Good morning, gardening friends. It's Vicki. I'm at the terrace garden, just checking on everything. We've had a little rain overnight, so it's looking wet, and I think things are looking pretty happy right now. I've actually been pretty busy for the past week and a half, so I have one other video that I didn't upload to YouTube, and I think I'm going to not upload it. We'll see. One other video from here is what I should say. But there was less stuff in bloom. It was only about 4 or 5 days ago, and since I'm here taking this one, I might as well post this one. So, we finally have our hibiscus blooming. In fact, I already have an old bloom here. But that is looking very pretty. This is the one that is the kind of a wine red, or there's like pink undertones to it. A cool red, I guess is how you would say it. Remember this yarrow that I bought to kind of match this hibiscus? Morning! Actually turned out more pink than wine red. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my garden again. This is Vicki. I'm at the terrace house. I'm starting up in the kind of meadow garden area. So we see here we have some daylilies blooming back there. These are a favorite of the deer, but I am still getting some that aren't eaten yet, so that's nice. No blooms on the Zephyr and Druin right now. I'm really surprised how well this butterfly weed is doing. I thought that we were pretty much done, but it seems that these flowers hang on longer than I thought they did, or maybe there were just more buds coming than I didn't realize. We do have some of the seed pods forming, so I think we're kind of toward the end of the bloom cycle, but still, that's quite impressive. I'm going to be adding butterfly weed at my work garden, of course. And I'm wondering, how many plants do I have down there? It appears I have 3. But that's pretty phenomenal, because that takes up a decent amount of space. Now, butterfly weed, I don't believe is easy to transplant, doesn't like to transplant. So that's probably just something I'll buy and add to the work garden, or my boss will buy and add to the work garden. I still haven't gotten like my kind of like fund money from them to spend, but he did tell me that they're gonna give me a budget to, you know, go buy plants with, so that'll be fun. This green one here that I'm looking at, I mentioned this before, I'm fairly certain that is goldenrod that I transplanted back here. So if I am correct, then this will start blooming yellow not too long from now, probably in the next month. All right, so looking this way, this is my old gold juniper. I have 3 of these kind of down this little wall here. This is a terrace. I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of buried under mulch, but there is a little rock wall along here. Over here we have the pillar white rose of Sharon. It's getting quite large. I'd say it's about 8 feet tall now. I was planning to take this out this year, like in spring, and I didn't get around to it. This one and that one right down there, unfortunately didn't get around to it, and now they're so huge. I mean, they must have put on 3 or 4 feet of growth just this season. I'm thinking 4 feet at least. But the reason that I wasn't crazy about it out here is because the deer tend to eat the buds, and it was also reseeding down here around the bottom. But I think I missed my window unless I just, you know, chop it off at the base, and I don't really want to do that. I wanted to transplant this and give it to a friend of mine who just bought a new house, and she basically has an empty yard. But anyhow, I think that these might end up staying, and I'll just let the deer have at them. I mean, you know, whatever. And then my friend, since it does reseed, I can just, excuse me, dig up some seedlings to give her, because this thing grew this big in like 2 years. So, okay. And then this is a silver buffalo berry. It's a wild, not wild, it's a native bush for the Midwest. And it could get berries if there was a male-female counterpart. I think that's unlikely. I don't know which one I have, but, and unless there just happens to be one in the wild that's close enough by for it to cross-fertilize, I don't think that's going to happen. So anyway, moving down this way, this is a blue stem, native blue stem, little blue stem. And I have another one right here. This one seems bluer for some reason. Maybe it's a different variety or it gets more sun or something. I'm not sure. I don't remember what this is, but look how cool. I'm going to have to take a picture and put this in my plant group. Like, I don't know if I planted this and it's a native plant, or if this just sprung up and I assumed it was something and didn't pull it out. Like, it could be a weed for all I know. But I think it's kind of cool looking, and it's starting to open. So again, this is what that looks like, whatever it is. Down here we have the wild violet patch that just started popping up through all of this wood chips, and I'm letting that spread as a ground cover. My iris out of bloom. We have some coneflowers here. These are in bloom. These are light. They seem to be, I guess I would say, fairly close to the species type, but I'm wondering if this is a problem. What is going on here? I don't know if this has to do with that Astor's disease, or if it's just maybe a genetic variation or something, like it's trying to become a double or something. I don't know. It looks healthy otherwise. I wouldn't say that it looks like it has any kind of disease, but it's just the petals are growing a bit weird. Got a Cosmo here. Very cute. This other coneflower kind of leaning over. I guess I could put one of my tomato cages around it. Maybe I'll do that before I go. This obedient plant, so like the first year I planted this, I think it got to about a foot tall. And then I want to say the second year it was maybe like 2 feet tall. And now this is up, I'd say almost to my chest. It's probably, it's up past my belly button. So I'm guessing this is probably about, I don't know, 3.5 feet tall. But this one obedient plant that I planted has grown into this huge clump. And very tall, just much bigger than I thought it would be. I'm waiting to see what it looks like in bloom at this height, because this is the sort of thing I could cut it back earlier in the year and have it be shorter when it blooms, or I could just let it get this tall. But I want to see, I guess, what it looks like so I can make that decision. Around on this side I have some more daylilies, and I'm pretty sure that these are the same type as those kind of light orange ones down there that I have, and I think I just transplanted some, you know, like split it and transplanted over here. Right here I have some spider plant. I think that's what it's called. Spider wort. This is a native plant in our area, and I actually think the flowers are charming. It's a little bit of a messy looking plant, but if it's in a prairie setting, it's not bad. Over this way I have a different type of milkweed from the one down there. So this one is obviously further behind, and I don't know if that's because it's a different type and it blooms later in the year, or if it's because this is a younger, you know, little clump. It appears to have reseeded these here. So I see multiple plants, and I think I probably only planted 1 or 2. Also, all of these aphids, it's a special kind of This particular one is a special one associated with milkweeds. I'll try to get the name of that and put it on there, but it's a good sign. It's not a bad sign. It's supposed to happen. It's part of the life cycle. And so anyway, I'm not worried about that. But this will be cool to have another kind of big milkweed patch in the future. And this should be easier for me to transplant some to my work because these are still young. Over here, I have this somewhat large growing clump of cosmos that I've self-seeded. And I think those are going to look really charming. I mean, they're already pretty, but once they really start opening. Try to find a way through here. It's taking over my path, so, I mean, I can still get through, but I'm going to have to definitely move some of these in years to come and, like, reestablish my path. So, but these are pretty. So last time I was here, I transplanted all of my hydrangeas that were on this bottom row because the builders needed that stuff out of the way. I still have my daughter's peach tree, and then there's like a seedling that popped up. I believe it's from this tree. This is a juniper. It gets the berries on it, so it's a female. But these two here next to it do not. So I guess those two are males. Anyway, I get a lot of seedlings, I guess, from this tree. And so anytime I want another juniper tree, I can just take from those. But anyway, so I still have this peach tree that belongs to my daughter. Let me get closer. That I'm not really sure what to do with. I don't know if I want to move that to my work garden or just pot it up for now. And then I will replant it, I guess, once the construction is done. Same thing with this juniper. I think I'm going to take this juniper to my work garden because we just have so much space. And, you know, I think that having only plants that die back during the winter will make for a boring winter landscape. But this, of course, won't. It's evergreen. So that's probably what I'm going to do with that. You see, nothing has happened here. Still waiting for the approval from the city now for our new drawn up plans after the issue with the foundation that they found, which forced us to have to just make some changes. Over here in my shade garden, I have a little bit of hellebores. I think it's just 2 plants. I have more at the rental house, and I'm planning to add to this clump. But I've also been thinking about, since I'm redoing everything at this house, which will probably not start until next spring, because when I say everything at this house, I mean everything on this upper level. The terrace garden, you know, down there, which we'll go to here in a minute, I consider that pretty much finished. But everything up here and on this whole upper level, I mean, it's gonna have a major redo. But anyhow, I was thinking about taking a lot of these plants and putting them in my work garden to be there for the rest of this year and until, you know, next spring, because they're gonna get so much more water, and I just feel like they could grow on better there, and then I could split from that in the spring to refill my garden next year. So I might do that, or I might not. I mean, everything in here seems to be surviving, although even when it rains, I just want to point out, like, it's been a little wet and rainy overnight, but this part up here is fairly dry. All of this stuff that's under the tree canopy is dry. And so without me having supplemental water, things I try to plant like fern doesn't do very well. I have some Annabelle hydrangeas I planted right here. I mean, they're hanging in there, but I just know things would do better if they had more water. So that's why I'm thinking about moving stuff. Just gonna Mosey on down to the terrace garden. My grape vines are doing fine. This, what is it called? Hollyhock. This hollyhock right here is pretty much done. I've got one flower up there. See that white flower? But all of these little round things are its seed pods, I guess. So I'll certainly have lots of hollyhock seeds if I want to do something with those. We'll see. The 4 o'clocks are putting on their flowers. None of them are open right now. It's about 9:30 in the morning, so I guess I'm just here a little bit too late. It is warm this morning, very warm and humid, so I'm not getting to show you these while they're open. That's one of the things I'm so anxious for, like when I get back in my house, is I can, when I wake up at 5, 6 in the morning, because oftentimes I do since I work so early, I can come out and catch things like that when they're still open. Here's some from this side. And this one we can see that it's a multicolor stripy one. And then we have pink here. Let me just show you. Here's a bloom from one of our nasturtiums. It's a peach color. I think if those had more water, they would be doing better, but they're hanging in there. Down here, catmint is starting to grow back. From when I cut it back. Still pretty small. I wonder if I made the wrong decision on which type of catmint to put there. Like, does Cat's Meow catmint get bigger? Like, I know it gets up to like 18 inches is what the tag said, but it does not seem to be, I don't know. Like this one here, the Walkerslow, that's one plant, and you see how big that is. So if I had gotten like 3 of those down here, that would have completely filled out that area. So maybe I'll have to switch those out in the future. We'll see. Russian sage, I can see the blooms, not quite super colorful yet, but they are starting to open. Our potato vine's looking really pretty, going over the side. And this is the mound artemisia, starting to open a little bit. Don't necessarily love that. Okay, so we are at that point where the pink and red flowers start turning brown. And this is the point where I finally feel like I can cut it back without making the color worse. You know what I mean? Like a little bit earlier, I knew it was almost time to cut them back, but I felt like if I cut them back, I'm going to take all that color off. And until they're actually brown, it doesn't bother me. But once they turn brown, then I'm like, okay, we're deterring, or we're making it worse. Up here, that is a white Veronicastrum, and I can see its little buds at the top sticking up like little spiky spires. It's not open yet, but that will be coming soon. The lamb's ear border getting pretty full. Couple little holes here and there, but I'm very pleased with how that's turned out. It did what I wanted it to, which was to kind of create a organized layer here in front of the more chaotic stuff in the back. So I think that is really nice. Down here, the cactus and sedum bed, looking pretty. This is probably one of my favorite things in my garden, and I want to recreate this at my work. So these right here are where we had blooms this year. And what I had been doing, and I've said this in a previous video, but prior to this, I'd say prior to like last year or the year before, I kept taking off any additional growths on top and replanting them elsewhere so I could spread and make this patch bigger. But then I didn't do that last year. I might not have done it 2 years ago, I'm not sure. And then I got these blooms here. And the blooms were absolutely gorgeous yellow flowers. This is a native prickly pear cactus to the Midwest. And well, it's native more south too, I think. I'm not sure what the entire range is, but anyway, it does grow native for us. It is hardy enough for our winters, which is crazy to me. And I want more of this, but I also really loved the blooms. So I was like, I'm not gonna split the tops off anymore because I want to get more blooms in the future. However, I also want to spread this to my work. I'd like to recreate the same thing at my work garden. You see how I have another patch down here that I've started, and they're only like a single layer high. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to take a bunch of these second layer pads or whatever you call them, prickly pears, and I'm just going to pop those tops off and make a patch over at my work. And then after that, I'll leave them alone, and then we'll have those beautiful yellow flowers and the beautiful blue-green silvery color adding to both gardens. And then the sedums, I want to take just a bunch of cuttings from sedums because they're pretty easy to start, you know, with only having cuttings. So that's what I'm planning to do with those. Up there we have a patch of goldenrod here. So no flowers yet, but those will be yellow when they start here in about the next month. Coneflower, obviously the pink coneflower. I've got a bunch of dahlias. I don't see any open yet, but look right here. We have some blooms. So this one will be opening here for us soon. And that's going to start adding an exciting element of, you know, large flowers. What else can I show you? The orange ditch lily or Asiatic lily. They are invasive, these tall, pretty ones. These are on their last bloom. So you can find these all over the Midwest, and sadly they are invasive. They're spreading along highways and just anywhere where people are not digging them up. And they're beautiful, and I absolutely love them. Like I'm so torn about it because I put them here purposely. Back when I first started gardening and my budget was super small, you know, I got these for free. I planted them here, but unfortunately they're spreading, and it's irresponsible to have them. And so now I feel like I need to take them out to be a good gardener. So I am planning to do that. But I do want to show you, I have another tall orange lily back there that's a different type. See how these have the kind of like fan type foliage, I guess? I don't know what you call it. Back here, this one has, I don't know, whatever you call that, tall, spiky foliage. And let's go and look at the flower. Sorry, I have to climb up here, and I'm trying not to get poked by barberry. So this is what the flower looks like on this one. It's different, same color, almost. I'd say this one is slightly more yellowy orange, whereas this one is more of a orangey orange. But this type, my understanding, is not super invasive. So if you see this type of stem and flower, that's a better choice. All right, just back up a little bit here. I said this in my last video, but I really need to cut these down now. They're done blooming, so it's time to go ahead and cut these down. I've got those two I have this one here, and I have this one over here. There was a giant one right here where that kind of hole is, and I already took that one out. A close-up of our beautiful coneflowers. Just a reminder, I have this bottom terrace mulched, and this one was mulched last fall, but I haven't gotten this one mulched yet this spring or summer. I guess we're in summer now. Over here, only a couple of blooms, but I have some coreopsis there and there. And in the future, I plan to add a little more to this kind of open area. So that'll add some more yellow. And I also want to add more orange, that specific type of lily back there, kind of to that area to make that patch bigger. This is an Artemisia patch because I really love that silver color. And I thought I was buying the same one as this, but if you look, the leaves are actually different. So I'll just leave it. It's the same color, but you know, not what I intended, but it's okay. It still looks fine. So I think that is it for this garden. I have to go back over. I'm going to be working on my work garden a lot in the next month or two, now that I finally am able to plant over there. I want to get as much planted as I can before we get into cold temps. So you might see less of this garden in the meantime, but I'll show you my progress in the other garden. So I guess that'll just be something new and hopefully interesting. Oh, I thought I would show you these. I want to say this was called toadflax or something like that. It has like these tiny purple flowers. I bought this in early spring. I'm not familiar with this plant. I've never grown it before. It just has really light purple flowers. I really love it. I like that the foliage looks like lavender. It doesn't smell like lavender, but the flowers are dainty and purple. And they've kept blooming. Like after I cut back some previous stalks that looked like this, okay, and then it sent out a bunch more of these. And I looked it up online, and I'm pretty sure that I read that this self-seeds pretty freely. So I like that. I wouldn't mind at all if this area kind of filled in. Looks like I have another seedling, not a seedling, but you know, a small coneflower plant. I have another patch of this orange ditch lily up here. That was to kind of mirror what I had going on that side. And this one will also be going at some point and being replaced with something non-invasive. But it's not as open. I guess it gets a little bit more shade. So that must be the reason. Here's our Walker's Low with some little bumblebee visitors. You see them? There's another one over there. Oh yeah, and the black-eyed Susans are opening. So that's adding some yellow to the garden. What else do I have? This is Baptisia. This is its second year. I think I planted this in the fall, not last fall, but the fall before. And last year it was just like a really small, like one branch plant. This year it's gotten to this size. I'd say it's probably about 2 feet tall now, and it did not bloom in the spring, but next spring that should be big and blooming. So I'm excited for that. You know, it's funny, I don't remember doing this, but I have this, whatever this color is, kind of a burgundy maybe. I have this planted here in this orange ditchweed patch, and I also have some of that same color planted in my other orange ditchweed one down there. So when I take out the orange ones, I'm going to have to try to separate those other daylily types that are not invasive. And then one last thing I wanted to show you, that right there is a Joe Pye weed. I think it's Baby Joe, if I remember correctly. And it does have some little flowers at the top, so this will be the first time that I see that flower right here. So I'm pretty excited about that. This, I believe I planted this last fall, and it was just a very small little plug. And then this is World Milkweed, I'm fairly certain. And I planted one plant of these about 2 years ago. I don't even remember ever seeing it bloom. I think they get like a kind of a white, you know, not super flashy or anything, but I wanted to have like as many kinds of milkweed as I could in my garden to encourage butterflies and stuff. And so this is the World. And then I have those two other types up there that are both pink. At the rental house, I have multiple orange milkweeds that I was planning to move over here, but I need to do a little bit of research because I read that milkweed has a taproot and it's difficult to transplant. And I don't know if that applies to all milkweeds or, you know, if it's only certain ones. So I'll look into that a little bit more. If it does have a large taproot, it's already well established and it looks really good in the garden that it's in over at the other house. So I may just leave it and buy new orange weed, milkweed. But that is one of the things that I'm planning to use to replace some of these orange ditch lilies, because the orange milkweed is the same color and it'll even be approximately the same height. And it'll look really pretty and it's native. So I think that's a perfect replacement. Another flower that I'm considering is Gaillardia, which also has beautiful orange flowers. The only thing that I'm not a fan of about Gaillardia is that its foliage gets just kind of ratty looking, I guess. And it happens rather quickly, so I don't understand. I'll look into that more as well. Like, what conditions does it need to not look like that? Or does it just always look like that? I don't know. Love the flowers, don't love the foliage. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So, okay, you guys, well, I think that's it for this update video today. I do have to, like I said, start working on my work garden, and I just wanted to get another quick update video in here. Not really quick, I'm sorry. But this is how the garden is looking today. It is July 5th, 2025. Sorry about the plane. But thank you guys, as usual, for coming with me to check on my garden and see what things are doing. And I will talk to you on the next video. Bye.